Okay, we can get started here. It's great to see the gallery full again and the press back here, so we don't have to use that Parkdale room anymore, and we're all moving forward. And we want to acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq First Nation. So call to order. I think there are, Sue, 4 resolutions. So any declarations of conflict of interest? Okay. So the agenda is as presented. I need someone to approve the agenda. Moved by Councillor Ramsey, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. So we have minutes from the regular monthly meeting of December 12th. Special meetings open December 19th, 2022, and January 5th, 2023. You want to take a moment just to peruse the minutes? Okay, I need someone to move the minutes. Moved by Councillor Bernard and second by Councillor Beck. All in favor, just raise your hand, just as easy. Okay. Business arising out of the minutes of December 12th, 2022, December 19th, 2022, and January 5th, 2023. No business. Okay. So the first report under reports of standing committees, planning and heritage. And I have Deputy Mayor Yankoff to present.
Are in your package. The planning board met as well on January 3rd, and again, the minutes are in your package. The Heritage Board did not meet since December, so therefore there are no minutes attached. And the Design Review Board did not meet in December, so obviously there's no minutes there as well. Nor did the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. So you will see that we have one resolution for your perusal for this evening, and it's 170 North River Road, and it's to look at 2 major variances. But just before we started, I just wanted to highlight some of the good news things happening with the department, and you might have noticed a few of these in your binder. But as of the end of December, we have had over $200 million of construction permits for the year, in comparisons to $159 million in 2021. So that was a really good thing. 516 permits were issued in the year of 2022. So on to another interesting year, I'm sure. Our committee plans to be working on reopening the official plan over the coming months. So we will be having some additional meetings to work on that, as well as finalizing some of the housekeeping items around short-term rentals. The licensing bylaw and the summary proceeding bylaw are also in the works. The final thing I might mention is the growth management system document, which is nearly completed, and that should be available soon. So other than that, if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer those. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Yankoff. And as you said, $200 million for construction value permits. So that's now the largest ever in the history of Charlottetown. So it just keeps growing. Councillor Twill.
Thank you. Thank you for your report. Just a couple of, one is a question to our manager, and I'll ask through yourself, and the other is just a simple request. The first question is, back 2 or 3 months ago, I had risen to bring a concern from the residents of Barrymore Court, and that was the number of people living in a single-family dwelling. They did, Mr. Forbes, what you asked them to do. They filled out a complaint form. They haven't heard back from the planning department. Wondering, sir, if you could update me now or take it under advisement and update me within the next few days. The residents are very, very concerned about the changing dynamic of their neighborhood. They're looking for consistency and predictability. Currently, they do not have that. And, who authorized to change the rules of the game? I'm not sure. They're not sure. Certainly, we didn't do that in this chamber. So we're looking for some clarity. And if you could please take that under advisement. That's the first issue I'd like to bring forward, and I'll wait for a response.
Just bring up your other issue too, so we can answer both.
Okay. The second is, back on May 31st, 2021, Council approved the change of zoning on Angus Drive. And one of the issues that had come up was there's major concerns from the residents concerned about property values. And I say that because of highway commercial being funneled onto a residential street. So what I'm requesting, Chair Alana, is if you could please take this back to your staff and committee. I would like to embark upon an exercise where the residents are consulted to see if, in fact, if that theory does hold true. So I bring that forward. That was one of the major issues that seemed to come up during the debate, and I would like clarification on that. And I think it's only prudent that we make sure that property values did not decrease in any which way, shape, or form. I thank you.
Councillor Tweedle, just to clarify, the questions for all of us have to be asked of the chair. Then the chair can answer if he or she wishes. And if the chair wishes to defer to the manager or someone in the department that he or she represents, that will be sufficient. Deputy Mayor Yankoff.
That is something that I would defer to our manager. Or alternatively, I could say that we can add it to our agenda for our next meeting. And we are having a planning committee meeting next week that I could add to the agenda on that. However, I will defer that to Mr. Forbes. And as for the property values on Angus Drive, I'll have to defer that to the chair as well. I'm not sure how far our committee gets into the property values and what the options could be on that. So, thank you. Over to you, Mr. Forbes.
Thank you, Deputy.
Him or to the committee. And then the other issue is in regard to property value, the only person that can comment on property values is a real estate appraiser. And in my career, I've yet to see a real estate appraiser indicate that because of a land use application, that the property values have been negatively impacted. So just to reiterate, I'm not in a position to state that, but I've been around a long time. I've never seen a real estate appraiser who he's got a professional set of criteria that he must abide by. It's not a real estate agent, it's an appraiser who's professionally trained to look at the circumstances in any neighborhood on any land use issue that I've seen. That's provided that. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but it would be, I think, quite rare that you could indicate that one land use is so significantly impacted the neighbors that it's dropped the value of their property. But I can't really give that decision. A real estate appraiser would have to give you that decision. Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor McCabe, did you have the button pressed and you got jumped away from there? Councillor McCabe, just one sec. Councillor Tweedle, turn off your mic. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess as the councillor who represents Angus Drive and Ward 9 area, I'm just surprised at this conversation. I haven't heard anything or any concerns that have been expressed. And I guess I would ask Councillor Tweedle if you could encourage whoever you're speaking with, if they could at least reach out and have a conversation with me as their representative, that would be appreciated.
Yep. Councillor Tweedle, second time up.
Councillor McCabe, first and foremost, that's going back to my notes. I like to check back with my notes. So So that was one of the issues that was brought forward. And I would even suggest and go so far, that was a defining moment, or one of the defining moments during the debate that could have swayed or influenced council to switch from an 8-1 vote to a 6-3. But nonetheless, this is one of the issues that had come up, during the meeting. And, you know, highway commercial on a residential street, I know all about highway commercial because I grew up on a street that has highway commercial. So highway commercial, over 1,000 cars a day, not even during the peak time of the year. I just want to know, for my own state of mind, if in fact, and I'd like to embark upon that exercise. It's just a request, Councillor Alana. I think it'd be a good exercise so that when we're dealing with issues of that magnitude or similarities down the road, then we'll know what the expectation is. Thank you.
Deputy, are you all right just to send it back to Planning Committee? And you know yourself, we can invite Councillor Tweedle to that Planning Committee meeting if he wishes to come.
Yes, Your Worship.
Okay, do we want to, any other questions? Do I have Councillor Bernard? Okay.
Your Worship, that project was a provincial government project, and it was making improvements to St. Peter's Road. So I'm not sure, want to get into wasting time in the planning committee and everything, but anyway, it was a provincial government project. I, like Councillor McCabe, I've only received praise for the project. But anyway, if you want to take it back to planning for your boost, but it was a provincial government project, not the cities. So, thank you.
Oh, you know, we're going to keep moving on because Sue Fraser has a resolution there. I think we may have some debate on it too. Okay, Sue, do you want to read the resolution, please?
Yes, Your Worship. Moved by Deputy Mayor Alana Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Be it resolved that the request for 2 major variances to increase both the maximum allowable height of a building from 11 meters to 12.4 meters and to reduce the required rear yard setback from 7.6 meters to 4.78 meters in order to construct a new recreation facility, the Simmons Sports Center, on the property identified as 170 North River Road, PID number 413484, be approved.
Questions called? Okay. Questions be called. Please press yay or nay. All in? Sounds like Las Vegas, all down. No, I'm just waiting for them all to make sure it's all in. Good. Want to post it? 10-0. Okay, thank you. That's the only resolution, Deputy. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alex. Next report is Councillor McKinnon. Is that right? Protective and Emergency Services Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. Protective and Emergency Services Committee, we met on January 4th for our first meeting. The minutes for this meeting are included in your package, and I have one resolution for your consideration.
Okay, that's it, sir? Okay, thank you. Councillor McKinnon, just turn off your mic, please. Okay, any questions? I got Councillor Tweel, Councillor Beck. Okay, Councillor Tweel.
Thank you, Councillor McKinnon, for your report. The question I have is, I have to go through the chair, as the mayor pointed out, to the chief of police. And the question is, I noticed in the front page of The Guardian recently, discussion surrounding a new a facility for people that have addictions. What's it called? It's called the safe injection site. So as a chief of police, are you involved with the discussions with the province? And can you elaborate on what those discussions are in terms of where a site should go? What are the parameters of the issues and where we go from here? I'm receiving phone calls from residents because of the outreach center, and residents are very, very, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of concern. They don't know where the location is, but I said I will try to find out where it's at in terms of a timeline, if this thing's being fast-tracked, and what involvement the city of Charlottetown has, and your involvement as chief of police. Thank you.
Councillor McKinnon, do you want to just address that first?
Councillor Tweel, for your question there. I'm going to defer that question to the chief of police.
Okay, Chief.
Indirectly, we are in those communications. We have a representative on the committee that's working with the province regarding the safe injection sites. I'm not at liberty to discuss the location. However, I was part of the same briefing as mayor and council that was given to the province regarding that subject. So.
And Chief, the issue is a provincial matter, and the property, I'm sure, will be property that the province owns, and they'll have to check with the zoning and development bylaws, so they'll have to go through our Department of Planning, Development, and Heritage. So that's where the issue is. Okay, I have Councillor Beck.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think really a comment about it, it pertains more to the school resource officers' positions, which I know are, as was noted in there, is going to be looking to fulfill them again. I just would like to offer strong consideration for that, and I'm wondering maybe if there is a possibility, I know we had one at rural and at Colonel Gray, if there is, as part of the moving forward, if there is a possibility of maybe reducing to one to be shared with the city schools, or some reduced form of it. Just in speaking with some administrators, I know that there is a desire to see that continue if possible, so I would put in a plug for that. The other was on the bylaw, the workload of the bylaw officer, and I do know that there are several bylaws that are putting demands on Officer Cuckleff's time, and I'm just wondering if there are other options to be looked at that I may not be aware of that could help in addressing that workload going forward. Thank you. Just a comment, really, and a question, maybe.
Councillor McKinnon, do you want to?
Questions, and I'll defer those as well to the police chief.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Worship. Certainly, I think we certainly all value the work that school resource officers do and the impact they've had over the last decade. And we'll continue our discussions with the province to see how we can move this initiative forward. And I'm optimistic that we can get back in our schools. Regarding the question about the bylaw officer, certainly that is a very busy position within our police services, and I will speak to Constable Sutcliffe to see if he can provide further input on his workload and get back to committee.
Okay, Councillor Tweel, this is your second time speaking on this report. This is your last.
Okay. Again, Chair McKinnon to the chief. Now, the mayor makes reference, it all boils down to zoning, where these facilities go. But I think it's much more than that. I think neighborhoods and communities have to be notified. They have to be consulted. They have to know what a facility of this nature will bring to a neighborhood or community. And they need to be notified on the front end as opposed to on the back end. So we're trying to be proactive here. We're trying to make sure all the issues are adequately and effectively addressed. So, Chief, you said you do have a representative on that particular committee. I didn't want to reference a confidential meeting, but nonetheless, you did. Having said all of that, there's a lot of questions, And again, when residents read that article on the front page of the Guardian, there's a lot more questions. And, I even got long-distance phone calls. So I'm hoping that, this is provincial government's initiative, that they take the time to do their due diligence and notify the affected community. That means notices in the mailbox, community meetings, effectively addressing the issues and making sure that all the i's and all the t's are crossed, because that hasn't happened in the past.
Okay, Councillor Twill, thank you. Councillor Matart from Ward 2.
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess my question is more just from a clarity perspective. So through the chair, we have 8 properties that are looking to have garbage and other material debris removed. My first question is that an exceptionally large number of properties for a particular period? And 2, what really comprises of material debris? Like, where do we get to the point where there's this much, these many properties that are being?
Councillor Matart, when the resolution comes to the floor, could you bring that question up?
Okay.
That's the most appropriate time.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Councillor McAleer.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. In Councillor McKinnon, your minutes reflect at your committee meeting you raised the question, and the minutes reflect an update on the new fire station. And I was just kind of wanted to follow up on that. I know when I was campaigning for this election, it was raised a number of times. So I've just kind of been asking questions and trying to understand what I guess could about it, in the meantime. And what I do understand is in 2017 there was a purchase made of a property that's on Malpeque Road. That's I guess next to Moore Well Drilling, for those that know the geography. We paid $800,000 for a piece of property, which was probably good value, I'm sure. There's been $250K spent on architectural plans, which are approved and good to go, I guess, pending a decision on where this new station will go. There's been $5 million set aside in the last 2 capital budgets for this project. Protective and emergency services, intergovernmental cooperation have been working with this for the last 3 years. And, the residents, I think, of the city are wanting, some answers. And I'll kind of repeat, the minutes have been circulated, but for those who may be viewing that perhaps haven't viewed the minutes, the question that you asked Councillor McKinnon was the chair, Councillor McKinnon, asked for an update in the new fire station. Chief Mamie indicated he had no update to provide at this time. However, the station design is complete and the project is on pause mode, basically until a decision can be made to move forward with the build. No, there's no intent at this moment, but working forward with an operational and strategic plan in line with the city to allow for development. I realize this is a big project. There's a number of things outstanding, but I just wonder, Chair, if there can be some elaboration on the strategic plan and the operational issues that the chief may be dealing with, and is there anything going forward in future meetings that can be shared as to the pause of this new fire station moving forward?
Thank you, Councillor McAleer, for that question. And yes, it's very important out there for our wards for this fire station. I will defer this question to Fire Chief Mamie to answer your question.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, and Chair, discussed at the last meeting, of course, was the update on the where the new station build is at. As mentioned during that time, we've paused the project. We have completed the design aspect of the project, so the building has been designed with that piece of property in mind. The property remains property of the city, of course. We've paused the build simply because we weren't ready to move forward operationally with the current setup we have to build which was going to be a third station. So we had to pause that, and the department itself, working internally, are developing an operational plan, and our very first, of course, strategic plan, which is going to be in line with the city's first strategic plan. So we're hoping everything is in line with those prospects. We're currently in the middle of we're awaiting arbitration on a collective agreement with our unionized members. So there's a number of things in the air that are sort of, that need to be settled before we can move forward. So that's what the pause is mainly about, Your Worship.
John, you have to, okay, go ahead.
And again, I guess the big piece I think in everyone's mind is any sense of a timeline, short term.
I can definitely have a better look at things and provide an update at the next committee meeting.
Thank you, Chief.
Trevor, Councilor McKinnon, do you want to wrap it up, or do you want to?
Just a question for Chief Mamie. You said you're in arbitrations. How far along are you in that? Is this going to be drawn out for a long period of time that we're going to be put on pause, do you feel, or what stage are we at?
Your Worship and Chair, we've gone through the negotiation and conciliation process, and we're currently awaiting arbitration. So that is a process that's out of the hands of both parties, but it is a timeline that is extended, of course, as we work through these. But that's currently where we're at, and waiting on a number of, both sides have a number of topics that they need to work through.
Okay, Sue, you want to read the resolution? And Councilor Matart, that's where you can bring up your question regarding the properties.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Ramsey. Be it resolved that the Public Works Manager be authorized to remove any garbage and other materials or debris, clean up and properly dispose of same at the owner's expense at the following properties located at 261-263 University Avenue, PID number 361311, 7072 Douglas Street, PID number 361352, 74 Douglas Street, PID number 361345, 828486 Kent Street, PID number 342196, 147 Beech Grove Road, PID number 746511, 20 Hillsborough Street, PID number 336503, 225 North River Road, PID number 366724, and 376 Queen Street, PID number 361469, in accordance with the terms of the Dangerous, Hazardous, and Unsightly Bylaw of the City of Charlottetown.
Councilor Matart.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll just quickly reiterate that question. Just wondering, again, volume here, there's about 8 plus properties. Is that a typical monthly quota that we would see? And 2 is what comprises an unsightly property and materials and debris that leads us to this number? Thank you. Through the chair too.
Thank you, Councilor Matart, for that question. To my knowledge, that these property owners have already been notified at least once, received a letter, didn't comply, so we've gone to the next step for the cleanup. But Chief McConnell like to address that further?
Your Worship, Chair, Counselor, certainly there are several. It's not unusual to have that amount. And our chair is absolutely right. In each of these instances, warning letters have been issued and failure to comply has resulted in the resolution tonight. The level of violation can vary from property to property, but certainly all of them were severe enough to prompt public complaints and land us in this situation for resolution.
Appreciate it.
Questions called. Now just let me get to the voting. Okay. Okay. Okay, please cast your vote. All good? Close. 10-0. Set up the screen. Okay. Okay. So next report is Parks. Thanks, Chief. Chief. Parks Recreation. Councillor Twill. You get the floor.
Thank you. Your Worship, members of council. The committee didn't have the opportunity to meet yet. I just want everyone to know that I'm very honored, very privileged to be the chair of the Parks and Recreation Leisures Committee. Looking forward to a very productive year, working with all members of council, moving forward to bring projects to each ward, to maybe even introduce some new programming. One of the goals that I personally have is I would like to see more youth, more young people involved in recreation. So we're going to be as innovative and as creative as we possibly can, and that's something I take to heart. We have a lot of young children in our city, through no fault of their own, have never had the opportunity to pick up a baseball glove, put on a pair of skates, tennis racket, whatever the case may be. So that's something that I'm going to be pursuing with a vengeance, and I'll be looking for each and every one of your help to pursue that goal. So if there's any questions, Mike Hernandez, of course, our manager, Frank Quinn, is here, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Councillor Drawn.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Thank you for that report, Councillor Tweel. I'm looking forward to working with you for all these projects that may come forward, and I appreciate that. Over the holidays, I received a call, from a person who had some bit of knowledge, and they asked me some questions that I didn't know, and I said, listen, when we get back to regular business, I'll ask the chair to see if he could look into it, and maybe you could go to your committee or take it to HR, whatever. There was a couple of hirings previously, back 6 months or 8 months ago or a year ago, and the person that had called me was concerned. A staff person had left right after, these hirings, and I don't know much about it, or I just said, look, all I can do is ask him to look into it, because they had concerns. I said I'd ask the chair just to look if there was, I don't know what they wanted me to look at, if interference or if a process, or I'm not sure, but here it is. I'm just, asking you to look into it if it's possible. I think a staff person quit over it, but I'm not sure. So I'm just wondering if you could look into it for me, please. Thank you.
Councillor Twill.
Thank you, Councillor Drawn. I too have heard some rumblings to that effect. I don't know all the particulars, but I have heard some rumblings to that effect. I think to be prudent, Councilor Drawn, maybe yourself that asked the question, myself, and maybe the chair of Human Resources get together and have some discussions as to what are some of the issues and how the process unfolded, and what was the procedure, and how did it unfold in terms of the rating system, and if it was a truly independent exercise. So that's all I can say now, if that's okay with you. And like I say, we have our chair of Human Resources Committee. Like to make sure that he's directly involved. That's his mandate, but I'm sure we can put our collective heads together and do some type of synopsis, if that's okay.
Councilor McCabe.
Thank you. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but I did chair HR for a while, and there are processes within the city that is based under the operational of that, as far as working with the CAO and staff. And I think we really need to be careful as elected officials when there's an issue with staffing that falls under the operational piece, that maybe we just have to stay in our lane and follow the processes that are in place. So that would be my 2 cents, is that we encourage, if people feel things were done not properly or wrong, that we direct them to the proper process.
Thank you, Councilor Drawn. Councilor McCabe. Councilor Drawn, second time.
Thank you. Again, I appreciate you looking into it, Councilor Twill, and, if it's not proper for me, I'm just asking the question, if you want to meet with HR or the HR chair or the CAO, whatever you want to do, just to look into it. That's all I'm asking. As chair of Parks and Recreation, this is when allegedly something happened. So if you could take it as the chair and look into it with who you have to look into it to, that would be great for me. Thank you.
Okay, no, Councilor Twill, I think we got the message, so we're going to move on. You got no resolutions? Okay, let's go to the next report. Water and wastewater. Councilor Drawn.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Our committee, like most, didn't meet over December. We were busy with a lot of different things going on, and we have a meeting coming on Thursday. So I'm looking forward to the new committee members and getting down to business. I don't have any resolutions for today, and I'm constantly in contact with our manager if there's issues or things like that. So if you have a concern or a question that you would like me to ask or try to answer, feel free at any time. Thank you.
Councilor Twill.
Thank you, Councilor Drawn. As you know, I've been advocating and lobbying for a solution for the residents down on Queen Street, between Douglas Street, and I've taken as far as Pond, Costello Lane, Maloney Drive. There's issues there now that trying to deal with that are of a safety hazard. I got a phone call from a resident today, but nonetheless, I'm looking for a solution. Maybe it's water and sewer in conjunction with Public Works. I'm not 100% sure, but there's got to be some methodology, some mechanism that can be put in place or constructed to ensure that water rises 4 and 5 feet, that water is moved quickly and doesn't cause damage to this very narrow section of Queen Street where the waves flow into people's properties, especially when that vehicle traffic continues to unnecessarily create these waves. So something, Councilor Drawn, that I'm going to be very consistent on in terms of, I'm looking for a solution here. More importantly, the residents want a solution, and we got to put our collective heads together to see what the viable options are.
Thank you, Councilor Twill. Councilor Drawn.
Thank you for that question, Councilor Twill. We've heard it consistently over the last couple of months, and our manager's been, I think he has been speaking to the manager of Public Works. It's on the agenda for Thursday to discuss it. I know our manager was diligently working towards a plan. I'm sure it just can't be pulled out of a hat and fixed, so it's going to take a lot of time, effort, and money. So it takes a lot to get this plan in place. So we'll be discussing it on Thursday, and as soon as the meeting's over, I'll give you a call and tell you how it went. Thank you.
Yeah, no, Councilor Drawn, can he go to the meeting? Unless invited by the chair. Is it all right?
He can come to any
Okay.
meeting he'd like to,
Okay.
yes?
What's the follow-up? About a little more description?
The follow-up, pardon me?
A little more description? We know what it is. We know the issue. So just
If you'd
bring it
like
up
to
the
enter
next
the
committee
debate,
meeting.
that's fine. If you'd like to enter the
No,
debate,
but
that's fine.
finish up.
So, thank you, Councillor Ron, and I appreciate that. All I'm requesting now that I understand discussions are going to take place, please involve the residents. Like, let's notify the residents. Let's make sure that the residents are involved from the outset, so that when we're working proactively trying to solve this dilemma, that the residents are involved. It's their neighborhood. They know the neighborhood better than anyone in this chamber.
Okay.
So please, that's all I'm saying, sir. Please involve the residents.
And again, Councillor Duran, it's all right that he attends the meeting and gets his minutes or his word on the record.
Sure, he's more than welcome, and I'm sure our manager has written down his question, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. It's a work in progress. This is a big, as you know, this is a very big project.
Yeah.
And it's going to take Public Works and water and sewer, and, you know, it's not going to be fixed unless Richard's a magician can fix it Thursday, but I'm thinking a long
No.
discussion, and, you know, we'll give you an update.
And Councillor Duran, it'll have to be submitted as a capital project. Plus, if it's Public Works, Councillor Tweel sits in Public Works, so he's got all points covered. Okay. Is that it, sir? Thank you kindly. Public Works.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Public Works Committee we haven't met. We meet next week, will be our first meeting. The Civic Board for Persons with Disabilities did not meet since our last monthly meeting of council. Therefore, there's no resolutions, but I do want to follow up to let you know you will be receiving the PSA that will be going out tomorrow regarding the salting of the sidewalks that was discussed at our last monthly meeting. And Councillor Duran, I know you had brought up some issues, but I believe you've been in correspondence with the manager and you've received information. Hopefully that will suffice. So if I have any questions from anybody, I'll do my best to answer. And we will be meeting, like I said, next week. Thank you.
Councillor Ramsey.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor McCabe. I've been approaching this issue, and I've been getting an awful lot of emails from lots of residents, and I've been forwarding them on to our manager and Public Works and everything. It's about Waterview intersection. I know we put the slowing island out there, but that's still not working. There's residents on both sides of that Waterview with the crosswalk. We have the crosswalk and that, but we need something better so people can cross that street safely. Students come from Charlottetown Rural also are going down that way. And what I'm sort of looking at, and I hope you can bring back to your next committee meeting, is what we have at the 1911 jail. The flashing lights right there, but they seem to be working there. But this other, just a little flashing light that's out there now on North River Road, it's definitely not working. A lady emailed me last week, a car near hit another person going across the street in the crosswalk, and it's been going on for 8 years, and I've been looking at this for 8 years, and I've been trying to get responses, so I'm just hoping that we can do something a little better. Thank you very much.
Excuse me just one second. I want to get you. Okay.
I'm assuming if with these questions happening for 8 years, there's obviously been discussion. So what we'll do is put this on our agenda for our meeting, Scott. We can be updated as to why or why not that's possible at this place. And if not, the flashing lights, is there any other possible solution that we could look at? Traffic's a problem everywhere in our city, unfortunately, and I know that they're really trying to get ahead of it and be proactive, but we'll definitely add it to our agenda for our meeting, okay? Oh, and you can speak to it as well? Perfect. We'll direct that to the manager.
So, Your Worship, as Councillor Ramsey alluded to, yes, we've received the emails that he's sent along to us from residents. We are in the process of reviewing this and other crossings around the city. We're looking at the warrants. So we're seeing, based on national guidelines, if they warrant what type of treatment they warrant to help improve pedestrian crossing. So we're doing that process right now. We're also in the process of putting out a request for quotes for that material for the flashing lights for this, and hopefully a few other crossings in the city. It is not cheap equipment, so it'll be over time we'll continue to add more around the city as needed. But yes, we have this one and a few others that will be reviewed, and as we get them reviewed and looked at, we'll be notifying either the individual who emailed us originally or the counselor to advise of the status of that.
Councillor Drawn.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Thank you, Councillor McCabe, for your report and acknowledge what I had asked last month. Last month, it was, I think I got a number of 40 people needing coats. It was a negotiated item in their contract. I'm thinking that the contract is not up for renewal for a while. I'm just wondering, could you put it on your agenda to discuss it, that if the budgets are coming up, could be a possibility that we would, put some money aside to get our workers some coats. I lived by a park and they were out the other day picking up stumps, and you had the full-time people with coats and it was cold where the other people didn't have the coats. So, I'm sitting in my house with a wood stove thinking, my God, should we do something? If there's not a whole lot of people, that would need a coat for, it'd be something that we could look at to sit down and put it in the budget to get these people coats. Thank you.
Did follow up with that because it seems like a common sense solution to the problem, but what I was explained today is because it's a union negotiated thing as a city, if we do that, we're kind of stepping in waters that we shouldn't be stepping into. And Scott, maybe you can explain that a little bit better with not the clarity. And I guess I said today, if it's someone that doesn't have a coat because they're cold, and you have someone in particular, I'd buy a coat for somebody. But if it's a citywide thing, I knew there was some complications as far as union, and maybe you could explain it because I'm still trying to understand all this. Thank you.
Your Worship, so I think the HR manager would be best to explain it, but for Public Works, our collective agreement doesn't only impact our department, it impacts Parks and Rec, the East Link Center as well. So anything that we do in our collective agreement outside our collective agreement impacts other departments. And it is in negotiated terms as part of the collective agreement. The collective agreement did expire, I believe, at the end of the last year, so just this new year. So it is expired. So we will be starting the process up again to go into renegotiations at some point in time in the near future.
Councillor Twill.
Thank you for your report, Councilor McCabe. I received a couple of calls regarding the logs that are piled up at the end of Park Street, Beach Street. Some activities are taking place down there. There's concern from some folks about the safety of the logs and what are some of the activities that are taking place down at that particular location. And what they're requesting is, and I don't know if this is possible immediately, but their request is they would like to see the logs totally removed from that particular site, so nothing's taking place down there. Now, I believe that that was city work that placed the logs down there. I see the manager nodding his head. Through the chair, it's okay, I'd like to ask the manager, can you give us a timeline when all those logs are going to be removed, so that eliminates that safety concern? Thank you.
Councillor McCabe, you're all right with that? Okay, just 1 second there, sir.
Your Worship, so as you indicated, as Councillor Twill indicated, yes, there are a number. We have the wood chips all cleaned up out of that site, but now it's the large logs and large root balls that are still remaining. So we're working right now. There's an individual who will be milling a lot of those sections down with a portable wood mill. So we're in the process of coordinating the relocation of all those logs to a another city site that's not being used in the winter months, and that will be the site that all this milling will take place on site. So I expect to start seeing that hopefully sometime next week. As soon as next week, we expect to see some action around that.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief Engineer. Councilor Bernard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Two questions, I guess. One just came out. So, Councillor Tweel, thank you for bringing that topic up. You indicated at the end of Park Street with the logs and such. If you are receiving calls or emails from residents of Ward 2, just appreciate if you could just have them as well forward them off to me. I'm not receiving those complaints as well, but in the event. Okay, thank you. My next question, Councillor McCabe, was just wondering for a bit of an update on the Belvedere roundabout. Now that it's operational to some degree, is there any outstanding items there? I do travel through there quite a bit myself. I feel like there's lighting and crosswalk safety concerns that are still there, and even maybe painting the lines. And I understand it's wintertime now, so painting lines might be difficult. So I'm just looking for an update on the completion of the Belvedere roundabout. Thank you.
Councilor McCabe.
I'm probably going to defer that to the manager as well, considering we haven't met yet, but if you could answer that, Scott.
Chief Engineer.
Thank you, Your Worship. So in regards to the Belvedere roundabout, there are a few things that are outstanding still. One is both the overhead lighting and the pedestrian lighting. So each crossing will have what we call the rapid flashing rectangular beacon, so like the 1911 jail, that type of style lighting for each crossing. So that will be installed. What we're waiting on right now is delay in poles. We have had them ordered since May, and they're still not here. Just a supply issue, and we're not the only ones that are having that issue. They're anticipated to be here sometime early February was the last we have heard. As soon as they are in, the electrical company will be putting them all up and getting those all operational. And then there's a few other minor repairs from landscaping needs to be done in the spring, some asphalt touch-ups, things like that, that are usually typical to finalize a contract. But the bulk of the work is completed, and we're so far very, very happy with how it's been handling traffic, and we've received a number of compliments from the public, which you don't always get that often. So it's being wide received by residents around the city. So, but if you do hear of any concerns, please feel free to let us know, and we'll deal with them as quickly as we can.
No, Councilor Tard. No, even just save it because I have a number in the queue. Okay, Councilor McKinnon.
Thank you, Your Worship. Couple of questions, I guess, for Councillor McCabe. Just request if you could put them on your agenda. I get in several phone calls. West Royalty Community Center, they built this wonderful rink, and it's a safety issue where kids are almost getting hit crossing the crosswalk there, and I know it was already brought up about crosswalks, but there's a little bit of paint on Lower Malpeque Road, but there's no signs. So kids are taking their life in their own risk trying to get across the road there. So if you're looking at crosswalks for flashing lights, I'd suggest that this would be a really good one, because the rink is being very well utilized.
Yep.
When there's ice, or I don't think there's ice there yet, but
No.
there's a lot of ball hockey with kids going in there. Every night you can go by and see it. And the second one, Councilor McCabe, I'm getting phone calls on is for the persons with disabilities. There's some local businesses out in our end of the Ward 7 and 8 that there's no inadequate bicycle parking or racks. So people are putting their bikes right up alongside of the door, the handicap doors. So when people wheelchairs are hitting the door and they can't get in. So if it's something that could be addressed.
The bike racks, I believe, would fall under sustainable. I think we always used to, under environment sustainability, isn't that where our bike racks came from through that program?
Yeah, I just think that if we can just take note of it and then we can decide, right, Scott, if it belongs with Public Works, you can share it in the other department heads. And what was the other issue? You're all right? Okay. Okay. Deputy Mayor? Yankoff?
Thank you, and Councillor McCabe, thank you, by the way, for your report. I know you've got quite a lengthy agenda going there now for your next meeting. But I did notice that the lighting between Euston and Fitzroy on Queen Street is nearly non-existent. The lights are either burnt out or so dim, and it's a very, very dark section of Queen Street, and if you could just add that to your agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to follow up on my question, but I think you indicated that there's still some outstanding poles. Is that what I heard correctly? Poles and such? Okay. Concerns me with the pedestrian lighting. That is just, there's a lot going on in that particular thing, and it seems like a serious liability to the city as we go along here. I know it's a very active area because I travel through there quite a bit and I see a lot of people. So I guess just hoping that the time frame of getting that up and in place during the winter, because I'm sure there'll be other things that will divert that, storms, bad weather, et cetera, and progressing that forward as quickly as possible. Overhead lighting may not be as much of a safety concern at this point, but certainly pedestrian crosswalks there. So hopefully we can get that in as quickly as possible and implement it. Thank you very much.
Councillor McAleer?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just wondered, and I'm sure
Councillor
this is
McAleer,
going to be a volley to
John,
Scott.
can you just stand up? It's
Oh,
just
okay.
part of the process.
Not very tall. Okay, all right.
That's what they say about me, too. That's what they say about me, too.
No, Councillor McCabe, this will probably be a volley that'll land back on to Scott. You gave the commentary and summary on the Belvedere roundabout, and just wondered if you kind of might share with us a similar sort of thing on the Allen Creek Bridge, and certainly very pleased that is open, and we know it's not complete. It needs some. It needs the frills that are going to be done, and I'm just wondering, Scott, if you could maybe share with the viewers who perhaps weren't really clear. And I know as a resident and a campaigner, I heard a fair bit about it, but I don't know if I fully really appreciate it. The scope of work and the sort of work that was done, and residents would go by and there'd be nice days and they wouldn't see people working, and a lot of frustration. So I just wonder if you might recap for us, the scope of that and what it would look like when the frills are finished. Thank you.
So, Councillor McCabe, good to go? Okay.
Your Worship, so in regards to the question, so yes, thankfully it's now open. There was a number of delays that we faced, unfortunately, with supply of some of the materials. Some of it was to do with the water and sewer that either go just above our box or under our box, and so we need to make sure we had all those supplies before we started even attempting to work on those lines, because in the event that something fails while you're working on it and you don't have the materials available, it can be quite a substantial repair and cause some issues for us. So that was really some of the bulk of the delays was the water and sewer materials that we're seeing in the supply chain issues that we're having. But as you see now, so it is open. There is still a lot of work to be done. There's still some slope protection to be done, guide rail to be installed on both sides of the road. So the concrete jersey barriers are only temporary. They're only there for the winter, and then we'll install steel guide rail. And then the final, we still need a lift of asphalt, so that's just the base asphalt right now, so we got to put seal over top of that. And then put in the concrete, replace the existing concrete sidewalk, and there used to be a white picket fence or white fence along there. That will be reinstalled as well, or a new one will be constructed in its place.
Oh, stand up. Thank you. That's great. Thanks.
Okay. Is that it? Councillor McCabe, that's good? No resolutions? Nope. Okay. Economic Tourism and Cultural Development Committee, Standing Committee, Councillor Ramsey.
The Culture Development Committee has not met since the appointment of the standing committees. The advisory board have not met with the committee. The Capital, I got a few notes if you don't mind. The Capital New Year celebration were a fantastic success. Anyone who was there, we estimated about 10,000 people were around there, and they're taking part in all activities. The city has partnered with Founders Hall and Market on both parties, and they want to keep that going if that's possible with all council and everything for the following years. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Swen, who recently opened a new store in downtown Charlottetown. I think that's what it's called, Wayne, is it Swen? Staff along with Mayor Brown are looking forward to participating in IRIS, a newcomer support focus group, which will be held on January 19th. I believe you know about that, Your Worship. And last but not least, excitement is building for the Canada Games that are going to be here very shortly. I watched the news the other night. They have looking for 5,000 volunteers. They passed that. There's names on the list that are waiting, so it's all great news. Good news. So we're just hoping everything's going to go well, and we're there for them. Any questions? To certainly give.
Councillor Ramsey, just before we take some questions, did you get the email from Kelly Murphy, Port Charlottetown?
Yes, I did, Your Worship.
Do you want me to read it out?
Well, I'd certainly like to thank Laurel and Charlotte for all their hard work on behalf of the city. Sorry, Your Worship, I have had a little bit of head cold here. But they'd really like to thank, and they went the 9th mile here, and they really worked hard all weekend with that. So I personally would like to thank them, and all council too.
Thank you, Councillor.
I apologize for my voice.
Okay. Councillor Twill.
Thank you, Councillor Ramsey. Before Christmas, there was an announcement made by the Prince Edward Islands Francophone community. The college is looking for a site in Summerside in which to build a new campus. So I read this with great interest since it opened in 1993, and I'm taking this right from the website. The college has been based in Wellington in the province's Francophone Evangeline region, and the school has also operated a secondary campus in Charlottetown since 2012. So Darlene Arsenault, the college's acting president, said the school currently rents both of these facilities, and they would like to see that change. Quote, "We need a place where we can have all our programs that can be done, and then also have different programs in Charlottetown," she said. Now, the thing that intrigued me is that the focus seems to be on Summerside, and good for Summerside. They're very aggressive, but nonetheless, I don't believe they're any more aggressive or progressive than we are. And with the new campus being constructed at the University of Prince Edward Island, the new medical school, and the conceptual design of that campus illustrates a number of other buildings, I think it's incumbent upon the city of Charlottetown to work with the province of Prince Edward Island. It's all about collaboration and partnerships, to work with the province of Prince Edward Island, contact representatives from the the Francophone College, and to see if in fact we can construct that facility here in the city. We are the capital city. We service 100,000 people a day, not even during the peak time of the year. And we've got to be as diligent as we possibly can, and we've got to be aggressive. So, Mr. Mayor, I bring that forward. I think that would be a positive development for the city of Charlottetown. The population is here. The university's growing. Holland College is growing. So I think we need to we got to be Johnny on the spot when it comes to opportunities of this magnitude. So I bring that forward as a recommendation. I would certainly look forward to working with you and our staff on that, but we got to pursue and really pursue initiatives like that. I mean, this is a great opportunity, and it'd be a great asset to the city.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Ramsey, just 1 second.
That's a good point, Councillor Twill, and I would certainly bring it up to our acting manager, Mr. Wayne Long, because that's his role too, and we will sit down with that, and that could be on our agenda as soon as next week, Mr. Long, if that's possible.
Yeah.
But
And-
that's a good point.
And the beauty of it, Councillor Twill sits on the Standing Committee for Economic Development. So
Yes.
it's great.
I thank you for that, by the way.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. No resolutions? No? Oh, yeah, all of them. Environment and Sustainability, Councillor Terry Bernard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, our committee has not met since the last meeting of council, so there is no resolutions, Your Worship. But I do want to give the council and yourself some updates, Your Worship, if I may. In November, the Charlottetown Switch Program broke a record for the number of agreements signed in 1 month. November had 56 agreements for a total of 432 at the end of 2022. $5.77 million of financing has been committed to date, of which $3.46 million of projects has been completed. Your Worship, also this fall, the city launched a flood protection rebate program. This rebate program covers 75% of the cost, up to $1,000 for the installation of flood protection devices, such as sump pumps, backup battery systems, water detectors with alarms, and backwater valves. So, Your Worship, applications are approved on first-come, first-served basis up until April 30th, 2023, or until the funding runs out. The program is funded by Intact Public Entities and Intact Financial Corporations through their Municipal Climate Resiliency Grant Program. So any more information anybody wants, that is on our city webpage. And just following, Your Worship, at the end of 2022, the city's partner in transit, T3, celebrated its 1 millionth transit passenger, with the bulk of these rides in the capital region. So there's another milestone. We congratulate T3 and celebrate the growth of public transit with them, as we will still strive to continue to make improvements to the transit system here. So, and 1,680 properties registered with the city's residential tree cleanup program after Hurricane Fiona, and almost all have been inspected by staff. Work has been completed on 400 of those properties to date. Staff are taking advantage of the good weather and have taken on additional contractors to complete as much work as possible before the weather creates challenges. So there's still a lot of work there to go. So as we know, with the devastation caused to the tree stock in Charlottetown, we have a lot of work ahead of us to tackle. Stumps need to be removed, new trees need to be planted, new equipment and additional staffing will have to be considered in this year's budget cycle to address not only the cleanup from Fiona, but address purchasing and planting of new trees, what species to purchase, where to best plant certain types of species to best survive these types of storms in the future. As we are aware, Your Worship, trees absorb gases like carbon dioxide from the air and produce oxygen. So with the amount of trees we lost to this storm, it will take years to replenish what we lost. So we are looking to start a major replanting program, Your Worship, as soon as this spring. So obviously there'll be some asks in our operation and our capital budget this coming budget cycle. So if there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you.
Councillor Bernard, thank you kindly. Councillor Duran.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Thank you for your report, Councillor Bernard. You brought up an issue there that I've been getting a couple of calls on, the major stumps that residents said, I called a company, they came in and they took out a couple of little stumps, but these huge trees. Is there going to be any development for that, whether it's the disaster relief program or the city? Like, what could a person be expected to do with these huge stumps? Is there anything being planned for the summer? Could you get, I told the lady I'd give her an update, tomorrow, but I just thought I'd ask that. I know I sit in the committee as well, but we didn't discuss it yet, so I'm just going to ask you if you could answer that one.
Yeah, no problem. So from what I understand right now, it depends where the stump is, of course. If it's on city property, then it'll be removed. This is private property? Yeah, so it's my understanding right now is there's no program for that, but we haven't met yet, and it's a topic that we'd like to bring up on the agenda. We will have to talk to our partners with the problems, because they've been funding a lot of the tree removal program between them and the federal government. So there's still an opportunity to talk to them, see how we're going to do it, because I, like you, I know there's a number of huge stumps. I don't know how some of these ones that we're going to expect the resident to be able to take them down and get them removed. So, excuse me, as of now, there's not a program for that, but further discussions. Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Twill.
Thank you. Similar to Councillor Duran, I know we had this discussion last month.
We did.
Yeah, we did. And I did know our CAO, Donna Waddell, I encouraged her to set up a meeting with the other two levels of government to see what could be done to maybe broaden the scope of the program. Program is being funded by the federal government, trickled down to the province, city of Charlottetown is administered. There's, in one sense, we have a program that accommodates the homeowners and helps them. But in another sense, we don't. I mean, we have a program that works and we have a program that doesn't work. Prime example are these massive stumps. For example, inside the sidewalk, for example, on 17 Bayfield Street, huge stump just sitting there. Summer Street, other streets. If a tree is leaning on a shed or a barn, it's ineligible. If a tree is leaning on a fence, it's ineligible. There's still a lot of cleanup to be done, and this is not to detract from all the excellent work that has been done. It's fantastic what's been done, but it just seems to put us in a straitjacket because there are some things we can't do, and I would like, for you to get back to the province and the feds and to see what can we do to broaden the scope, broaden the parameters of the program so that we can help the homeowners and the property owners, because there's still, as you're right, there's still a lot of work to be done. And it's hard to have people living in homes on a fixed income to go out and say, well, now it's up to you to spend $1,000 to move that tree stump. I mean, it's not going to happen. And I would like to see if we go the extra mile to try to help the residents. And this storm was we're in uncharted waters here. So considering the consequences, we've got to be flexible. And I know the program puts us in that straitjacket. It almost paralyzes to a certain extent. It's a good program, but it just does not go far enough. And I certainly encourage you and your committee to look at the possibilities and the options and see what can be done to help some of the homeowners. Thank you.
Councillor Duran.
I do have a question for Councillor Twill, because this was your portfolio, so I'm just wondering, did you start any conversations with any levels of government that I should be aware of?
I asked the CAO to set up meetings, and then time ran out, and the committee's changed.
So no discussions have been
No,
had?
not to my knowledge. I don't know. Maybe our acting CAO, Ms. Fraser, could elaborate on that. I'm not sure.
I think that it was other issues were going on, so it'll fall under your chairmanship to move the file forward.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I just wonder, was there any conversation started? Because I think you talked about a big one in Bayfield Street or a couple other streets. I just wondered.
Yeah.
And that's on city property?
It's just on the inside. I mean, you can take a magnifying glass and try to find out where the property line is, and those are things that we don't need to be that, I would say, that picky. I mean, I think those are situations where you go in and just remove the stump. Same thing with Summer Street in between University Avenue and Upper Prince. I mean, big stump's still sitting there. We've had issues in Upper Prince Street as well, and you can't expect seniors that are living at home to take on expenditures of this magnitude. I mean, it's just way out of whack. So that's why I bring it forward to see what we can do to help these property owners.
Yeah, and it will be a discussion that we'll have to have with our other levels of government. But I just want to caution, there's only so much we're going to be able to do, and there's going to be, there's going to be a lot of like these stumps that are in people's backyard, getting at them and getting them back out and so on. So it's criteria that has to be developed. So don't know where it's going to go, but we're going to have a talk with our counterparts to see what type of program we could put in. Are we going to get everyone? I doubt it, because there is liabilities that we have to take into consideration. So just to be aware. But we'll have our conversations and we'll see what comes out of it, and we'll see if we can't get some help.
Nope. Good point. Good point.
Thank you.
But I do want to mention one thing, Councillor, and I'm glad that Jessica's here. We did apply for the switch program, so I'm not in conflict, and the response was within 48 hours. So we're registered and we will be taking advantage of it. So it's a great program. Okay. Next report. Councillor Norman Beck, Strategic Priorities, Communications, and Intergovernmental Cooperation.
Well, I guess we're one of the few that does have something to report.
You're proactive.
I guess I would have to give kudos to CAO Donna, as she managed to squeeze this in before the trip to go up to see her birth of her first grandchild. So congratulations on the
Max.
heels of good news. Certainly good news. And CAO Donna is a grandmother for the first time. So all good stuff. And so good things happen in the city of Charlottetown. Not only Canada Games, Kev, but also, how about those UPI Panthers too? Huh? So beat UNB for the first time. Dave Stewart had a hard time believing me, but anyway, it's true. Shameless plug for my Panthers. So there we go. All right, down to business at hand. So like we did meet. The report is in there. It was nice to have the terms of reference reviewed, just as a newcomer coming in to understand a little bit about what the process is. And you would note there that the growth management has come up as an area of increasing importance, and I guess timely importance, and that's going to be attached to all the committees so that it's part of each committee moving forward. CAO Donna also did, I just do want to draw attention to the email that she did send out as part of the meeting on the code of conduct that came out at the province, and it really wasn't any kind of discussion on it. It was more of a point of order and an awareness-raising issue. I would really encourage everyone to take the time to read it because there will be implications for us as councillors and mayor and council. So you can forward anything through me or through our committee, and we can come back. But we do want to have that feedback because that will be coming forward. So it will be nice to have that information in advance in terms of the consultation. So the consultation process is officially open. We're welcoming ideas. And anyway, any other questions? I'll do my best to answer them.
Just wanted to add, Councillor Beck, in regards to 5A review terms of references, we did talk about all committees making net zero emissions by 2040 as part of our goal as a city corporation through our standing committees, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Councillor Beck. I'm just reading through it here too. The signage policy, was that not under, what was that under last term? Was it, I don't think he was under strategic because I was involved in that. It was under economic, wasn't it?
Yes, but it also falls under communication. So the strategic priorities is now not just strategic priorities, intergovernmental cooperation, and it also includes communication. So it will go through economic development, it will go through
It's
public
going through three
works.
committees.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's something new then, isn't it?
It's
Because-
just, let's
because
stay out of the
I don't think
silos.
we went
Silos are just
through-
for firms.
What's that, pardon me?
Silos are just for firms.
No, but I'm just saying, yeah, okay. No, I just reading up on it there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor McCabe.
I love to hear that we're coming out of silos, but I guess I'm just wondering how that's going to work. Is it going to have an opportunity then if it's cross-committee where all the committee members get together and discuss it at the same time? Or does it have to go through this committee and this committee and this committee? Because this committee, and this committee is still silos. I think if you're going to do cross-committee meetings, you need to get everybody in the same room.
And that'll go back to strategic priorities. That's the purpose of strategic priorities, intergovernmental cooperation and communication. It's to, again, connect those dots so we all stay out of the silos. Councillor Ramsey.
Just follow, so why would it have to go through 3 committees, Your Worship?
Communication is part of public signage policy. That's communication.
Okay.
And then
Like I'm
economic.
like Councillor McCabe, like, you're going to go from A to B to C, and then if B don't like it, then C's going to go this way and all that, so then we're just, almost like a dog chasing a bone.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm good with it.
Okay. Councillor Beck, thank you very much. Finance, audit, tender and administration, Councillor McAleer.
Got my button. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Your Worship. The Finance and Audit and Tendering Committee met January 4th. The minutes have been circulated in your package. I'd like to start off with welcoming to new finance manager who's with us this evening. Her name's Betty French, and Betty is, say more about her in a minute, but Betty is replacing Nancy McCrae, who was acting in that role for the last year and a half, I believe on a contract basis, and would like to certainly thank Nancy for her role and talents in that time, during that time. So Betty hails from St. Thomas, Ontario, where she has served as a finance manager in that capacity for the last 9 years. Betty, we're excited to have you here. She's relocating to Charlottetown, where she will be enjoying her extended family. Welcome, Betty. There's one resolution for consideration from the ID department in your binders as well. That'll be viewed, or any questions on that, respond to them as best we can. And also, there's been a revision. We received communication earlier today. The financial update that was to be presented up to November 30th, 2022 requires further amendment. So I'll ask that we defer discussion on these financials until such time as this report has been updated for your consideration. Also, next couple of months we'll be busy in the finance department with the staff getting ready for the 23-24 capital and operational budgets. Our committee looks forward to working with council, all stakeholders and residents to deliver a strategic and an inclusive budget. That concludes my report. I'll respond to questions as best I can or pass them on if needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beck. Councillor McAleer. Councillor Beck.
Actually, I think I'd have to wait till the motion is actually put forth for my question, mate.
Okay. Councillor Duran.
Mayor Brown, thank you, Chair McAleer. We had a great meeting the other day. Look forward to working with our new manager and yourself and the committee. I just have an issue. There was a donation came up in our committee meeting, and there was some discussion there. There was some great discussions about how we'll go about giving donations. I was kind of, I was trying to make a point where I thought we should wait for the, our committee to come up with a policy of how we donate. But the policy was approved, and my name was on it. A motion to approve the donation was made by Mayor Brown and second by Councillor Duran. That's an error in the minutes, and I certainly didn't second it. So hopefully we can get that changed. But we'll also work on a policy where different schools or teams are looking for donations, then there'd be a policy in place, and we can't give it to one and not others, make it all equal, and a certain monetary level would be in place with that. So we'll be working with that in our committee, and I just wanted to stress that I didn't second this. It was a mistake. You can see it on YouTube or whatever, but that's great. Thank you very much.
Councillor McAleer, can you just make sure that it was Councillor McCabe that seconded the resolution?
Pardon me?
Councillor McCabe seconded the resolution. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
all right. Councillor Drong, thanks for your comments. As it relates to policy on grants and the granting of those, certainly in agreement. I think, as we discussed at our committee meeting, that should be formalized, or I believe maybe if there's not a policy in place, or if there is, it should be certainly clarified as to what our policy is, and so that was another matter. We had talked about procurement and that sort of thing too. That's a different piece, but both those pieces certainly need to be clarified going forward. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Twill.
Is it on there now? Thank you for your report. Just want to follow up, you mentioned procurement. Currently, we've had a procurement policy here in the city of Charlottetown for a number of years. I think if you look at the last term and some of the challenges we had, I believe the Finance Committee is working towards a procurement bylaw. That's something I'm strongly in favor of, is a procurement bylaw, so that all stakeholders know what the rules are right up front, particularly our local businesses that would like the opportunity, whether it's any type of product or any type of service, so that they kind of have an expectation that they're going to have the opportunity to submit a competitive bid. So I just want you to know I'm strongly in favor of moving forward from a procurement policy to a procurement bylaw. Thank you.
Councillor McAleer.
Thank you, Councillor Twill. Duly noted. Thank you.
And it's also required under the MGA, Municipal Government Act. We have to have a procurement bylaw. Councillor Bernard.
Your Worship, I always thought, excuse me, the monies that we give away are usually under grants. The donations, I always thought, come out of the mayor and council budget. Is that not still the case?
In this case, he came right to finance, and that's right. Past practice is that it would go through the mayor's office, but
So there's a certain amount the budget is approved for this under the mayor and council budget. So when this went to finance, it probably should have been redirected to.
yes, but remember, we clarified the definition, donation and promotion. The office of the mayor provides monies for funding for promotions. Donations have to go through the finance committee.
But my understanding what this funding was for is no different than some of the other aspects
Correct.
gone through. So
Yeah.
whatever you call it, but it's serving the same purpose.
Yeah. We'll clarify it at the next meeting, but I think Councillor Duran correct me if I'm wrong, he's looking for a policy on donations, correct? Yeah. Thank you for that clarification, Councillor Bernard.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor McAleer, thank you very much. And before we leave, Betty French, bienvenue à la ville de Charlottetown. Welcome. Yep, go ahead. Rory's here too. Sue, Rory's here if there's any explanation required.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor McAleer, seconded by Councillor McCabe, that the video conferencing RFP be awarded to Ivans Audio Visual in the amount of $15,912.06 plus applicable taxes.
Questions called? Just give me one sec. Get ready to vote. If you, okay, you can ask your question. Just one second, I'm just getting it set up. Okay. Okay, so you have to go to manual there. Okay, good. Councilor Ramsey.
What this is for, the video conference, is that for this chamber or?
Councilor McAleer, you can answer it or you can defer to Rory Chason, our IT manager.
Yeah, I'll defer that to Rory. Thank you.
Yeah, the video conferencing, it's for the police station and the planning department. So there's one room in each for meetings. That does not have any video conferencing set up at the moment.
Okay. Councilor Beck? Just one sec, I want to make sure you're on.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I was pretty surprised at the discrepancy in the bids, one twice as much as the other. I guess I'm just wondering, is there any significant difference in the quality between the two of these, Rory? Maybe you'd be best to answer this in terms of, and I'm not familiar with either company, either one of them local? Or are they external companies or from the province? Maybe if you could answer those for me.
Councilor McAleer, do you want Rory to answer that?
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Councilor.
that'll be fine. I asked the same question at the committee level, and I'll let Rory speak to it.
He's already got a rehearsed answer.
So
I think
so-
it's a, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
for-
not, maybe the people putting the tender in not fully adding, or perhaps understanding the tender process.
So for the question on the price disparity, there's no significant difference in the quality. If anything, actually, we did a technical scoring for these, and the lowest bid was actually the higher technical score. The one that we are suggesting we go forward with is the company that did the council chamber. So the good quality work. We've had good relations with them so far. Neither of the companies are local to Charlottetown.
Thank you for that, Rory.
I think it's important to note too, just because what it was explained in our finance committee is that one committee maybe didn't just do what was asked into the tender. They included equipment and different things that were not necessary. So they had TVs and they had computers and they had different things in their 30,000 tender price versus the 15,000. Is that correct? We didn't require some of the stuff that was included in the higher tender price.
So there was a few things included in there that were not needed, but it wasn't enough to cause a significant difference in the price. There's still a significant difference even if we compared apples to apples. Yeah.
Okay, good to go? Okay, let's just open it up for vote. Go ahead. Questions called anyways. Vote. Okay, all down? All in? 10-0. Okay. Councillor McAleer, thank you. Betty, thank you. Rory, thank you very much. Okay, so next report, Justin Mattard, Human Resources Committee. Okay, just one second. Okay.
Thank you. It's an exciting opportunity to chair the HR committee. I'm looking forward to the year ahead and working with fellow members, Councillor Beck and Councillor Bernard. The Human Resource Committee did not meet since the regular council meeting. However, there is one resolution for consideration. So I don't have much of a report, but if anybody has any questions, I'll do my best to address those for you.
And again, Councilor Mattard, the questions will go through you, and if you want Janine, Acton's Human Resource Manager, to answer, that'll be fine. Councilor Twill.
Just reading the report with regards to leading up to the resolution. It's not on the resolution, but is this some negotiations where the employees are members of UPSI?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
The employees that are involved with this particular resolution, is this the,
So these would be non-union employees?
so it's not UPSI?
No.
No, it's not UPSI. Management
Management
non-union, is that
non-union
senior administration? Management non-union, okay. Pardon?
UPSI's a union, but this is not, this is for non, these are not, they're not in a union. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
Not
Councillor
the
Twill, this
administ-
would be,
Not administration.
okay. Can we just get, do you want to clarify it? Yeah, he's trying to clarify it.
oh, sorry. Yeah, to my understanding, it would be management level, non-union employees for this resolution. And
Yeah.
I can defer your question to Ms. Abbott if she would like to.
Janine, do you want to provide some clarification?
So this would be basically for most of managers.
Yeah.
There are certain admin support that would be included with it and potentially contract employees backfilling non-permanent or permanent, positions. But for the most part, it would be at a management level and other non-union employees.
And just so I understand, when it comes to UPSI employees here within the city of Charlottetown, who does that cover and what positions do they hold?
Councillor Matard?
Councillor Twill may defer that to Emily McLeod, who is our manager. I think that Janine is stepping in here tonight.
Yeah. Good point.
But feel comfortable addressing that question, so we can take that back and address that for you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you.
Okay, so you have a resolution. Sue, do you want to read the resolution, please? Merci beaucoup.
Yes, Your Worship.
Go ahead.
Moved by Councillor Matart, seconded by Councillor Beck. Be it resolved that the City of Charlottetown accept the proposed 2% increase to management non-union employee salaries for 2023 as per the attached document, effective January 9th, 2023.
Questions called. No one wants to ask questions. Questions been called, so we're ready to go. Okay. Okay, now can I just, okay? You can vote. All down? All in? Nope, I got someone that didn't vote. Close it. Okay. Is, okay, that's 10-0. Ah, 4 resolutions tonight, 10-0. Record. Unanimous. What? Okay. Thank you, Janine. That's it for the report. Councillor Matard, thank you very much. Just quickly under new business, I just want to congratulate Donna Waddell and her family on the birth of their first grandson. I believe the name is Sue, Max? John Maxwell. Well, well, well. And the second item is that the Province House has extended an invitation to council to do a tour of the Province House, inside the Province House, on the 20th of this month at 10 a.m. And an email will be going out for council if you wish to participate in that tour. Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you.